Mavericks beat the Oklahoma City Thunder to go on to the Western Conference Finals again. How did Luka Doncic take him to the next level? How did the two Derricks make a huge impact? It's a three-man weave on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks Playoff.
NBA champions.
He hits! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
Welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we let it ride.
I'll take your word for it. I can't hear.
Oh, the Mavs move on to the Western Conference Finals again. Woo. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day. Leave a 5-star review on any podcast platform you listen to. Like the video on YouTube and comment, let it ride below. Comment, let it ride. And what should we comment on Locked On Thunder?
Good season.
Have a good summer.
That's a lovely guy.
GG's.
That's a great guy. I met him tonight. He's very friendly.
Yeah, just go comment GG's on Locked On Thunder. Bye, Ryland. Have a good summer. Enjoy. Better learn draft picks, buddy.
They're very well versed in draft picks.
Fluent, in fact.
They know this very well. I'm Nick Angstadt. I'm joined, as always, on the post game by Slightly Biased. What you got for me, Slightly?
I don't know. My brain's a mess. We'll see how this episode goes.
And flanked to my left, the professional from 105.3 The Fan. What you got for me, Reggie Adetula?
Absolutely nothing. Don't you feel great about calling me a professional?
Locked on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Locked on.
Oh, my God. We'll talk about how the Dallas Mavericks got the win in Game 6. They closed it out at home. Again, Kyrie Irving remains undefeated in his career in closeout games. Did he contribute to it much?
I mean, he had 22.
22?
Yes.
Come on,
Yeah,
22. Okay,
half.
we'll take that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about all kinds of other stuff. But we got to just start with the Mavs have now moved on to the Western Conference Finals in 2 out of the last 3 years. Trying to make sense of last year. We tried it a bunch. Tried to make sense of it. But now this Mavs team's moved on. And what does this say about Luka Doncic?
Well, it shows that, again, Luka, we saw it in Game 5 against the Clippers, where he had a rough first 4 games by his standards. And then Game 5 against the Clippers, he took that game over and won it. And then Game 6 had a great game. And almost pretty much similar things in this series, where Games 1 through 4 was some rough Luka. I think sprinkled in with probably the worst Game 1 and Game 4, the worst Luka games we've seen of his postseason career, at least. And then the last 2 games of this series just taking over and being
huge,
the best player in the series. I mean, Shea was great tonight. He was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, he was playing
36. He finally broke like the 33, 31.
Yeah, he
only ever scored that many and finally broke it, but it just wasn't enough.
But a triple-double for Luka, and I thought he was in complete and total control of this game offensively. And it's just he's the killer. And listen, I had a great time in Oklahoma City when I went to watch the game, but after the game, I was talking some friendly stuff with some of the Thunder fans, and they were like, Shea's coming. And I was talking about Luka. I was like, you guys don't know what a killer is yet. You just don't. You guys have a great young team, but you don't know what a killer really does when it's time to go in the playoffs. And that's exactly what Luka did the last 2 games.
Yeah, man, Luka Doncic is a superstar in the truest sense of the word. I mean, he exists as a guy who you really have no qualms about when you talk about, like, the big moments and a knee sprain that is something that is not better yet. We talk about mentality. You could talk about adversity when it comes to not getting a whistle going your way. All those things. When push came to shove and his team needed him, he stepped up in a big way, and that's something that we knew he was capable of, and did it while also still being the identity of this team. Like, they still did it with him at the center of all of this. 29, 10, and 10. Like, another Luka Doncic triple-double. He is consistent in a way that you expect a superstar to be in the postseason.
Is that 3 straight triple-doubles?
I believe that is, yeah.
Luka, there's moments in this game where you thought that he was going to regress back to the refs are just taking me out of this game. I don't have anything to give this game because of the way Tony Brothers is calling it. And of course, we'll comment on that probably later. Maybe some of us more than others.
Right? Yeah.
More than others.
Don't look at me.
but he felt like he was getting taken out of this game at certain points. There was a moment that I remember at the in this game where he gets the technical, and then there's another moment where Luka is on the ground after a call, and he waves off Tony Brothers. Like, you know how, remember Porzingis got that wave off tech in the playoffs against the Clippers a couple years ago, and he waves him off, and Tony Brothers is running down the sidelines, and he looks back down at Luka, and I could just see him, like right down the barrel, I could see Tony Brothers' face, and he just looks at Luka like, try it. Try it. Right? Like, it honestly felt like that from him. But he didn't give him another tech, and Luka then had to come out, and he had to be more composed. And I know that lots of people that watched the Mavericks for the first time tonight learned that Luka likes to talk to the refs.
That's right.
I know that's a new thing that we learned, but I didn't think he talked to the refs more than he normally does in any other game, and I didn't think it affected his performance that much, and he came out. And the thing that Luka needed to do is what I've been talking about to preview all these games, is that he just had to be normal Luka. Like, this is a normal Luka game. This is not even a great Luka game. 29 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, 7 turnovers, not good. The turnovers were a big problem.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll talk about them, but 9 of 15 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. That's all they needed from him, is just get a couple more buckets, and it'll take him to the rest of the distance.
See, I think in a closeout Game 6 against the 1 seed, that's a great performance right there.
Sure.
Like
in a low-scoring series, yeah.
Right. I think, like, by Luka's statistical standards, obviously, it's not, it's not anything we're not used to, and the 7 turnovers were definitely a problem. But 2 steals. Oh, that's 4 personal fouls. So I said 4 blocks. I was like, there's no way he had 6 stocks. No way I'm seeing that right. But all things considered, this was never going to be an easy game. Never. You knew the Thunder were going to come out swinging. And it's crazy because I thought the Mavs after Game 1 just were in complete and total control of this series except for the first half of this game. And that's an incredible
the last 4
team.
minutes of Game 4.
Yeah, that was just a meltdown of epic proportions. But this is an incredible Thunder team, man.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, they're very good. And the Mavericks win in 6. I mean, and Luka, again, I know statistically it's not the Luka you're used to, but I thought he was great tonight in the second half, too.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to say great, and I'm going to be the Debbie Downer here because those 7 turnovers. There's a few things. Yeah, y'all can stand apart from me. It's cool. I'll stand by myself. There's a few things that give this Thunder's team oxygen, and you don't want to do those things. And one of those things is turnovers. However, conversely, he did a great job of creating. And one of the things that I had a little bit of a complaint about, even in Game 5. It looked a lot like Game 4 because with Kyrie and Luka, they allowed that window to remain open that the Thunder had walked through in Game 4.
Yeah.
You saw both of those guys to also have to Kyrie do a lot more closing of the door, and that's where I will give him very, very good game by Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, because when the door needed to be closed, if it's using your body weight, if it's getting to your spot, if it's putting up a floater, if it's finding P.J. Washington or Derrick Jones Jr., they did exactly what needed in
this
that
felt
moment.
like a game from the Clippers series where, like, the Mavericks come out a little slowly, and it's at halftime, and you're like, what is going on here? And then the second half, they just turn it on because 7 turnovers in the game, 5 of them in the first half for Luka. So they just, I mean, that was the story of the first half. The Thunder had, I don't know, like it was something like 13, 14 more shots than the Mavericks. And that was the story right there. But I do agree, the turnovers are definitely a problem. And that's why this game was what it was at halftime. And that's been the story all series, really, is if the Mavs don't turn it over, they're in control of everything. Because that's what the Thunder do. They force more turnovers than anybody in the regular season, at least. Like, that's what they do.
They ended up with 27 points off turnovers. The Mavs finished with 18 turnovers. They only averaged like 12 during the regular season. They've been limiting the amount of turnovers. It's been one of the things they've been really strongest at. But, man, that was what really kept OKC in it. And if the Mavs could control what they could control, and one of them was turnovers, one of them was the Thunder getting free throws, then you're going to win these series. Like, you're going to win this game. You're going to win the series, and we all felt confident about it after the end of probably Game 3, maybe even Game 4, where you're like, oh, they outplayed them. Just they gave it up at the end. But Luka led the way, and you got to give him credit. And now you look at it, and he has been to 2 Western Conference Finals in 3 years.
It's crazy.
And the middle doesn't matter as much. Unlike a sandwich, the middle does not matter in this. But, man, he's now taking them against either Minnesota or Denver. We don't know at the time of recording. We want to real quick, who you want?
God, it's impossible to say, really, because on one hand, Jamal Murray's calf thing is a big problem.
It is huge.
It is a big problem. It's similar to Luka's knee thing where
it's somehow worse for him.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to like Nuggets people talk about it, they're like, this is not going to get better over the course of the playoffs. It's just not. And if he's at 50%, that's a series you could talk yourself into the Mavericks winning, I think, pretty easily. The Timberwolves, they're just young. You feel like you can get them to make mistakes still. And Mike Conley's been you see like the difference when Mike Conley's out there and when he's not. When he missed whatever game that was, Game 5, and they look terrible, and then he's back in Game 6, they win by 50 points. I mean, they're both monsters.
Mike Conley.
Like, they're both incredible teams. And this Thunder team was incredible too.
Yeah, man, you've reached the point, particularly in this Western Conference that we have right now, where I don't necessarily want anybody. You just got to step up and say, whoever is there, we are here to play basketball against you. What I want is a healthy Luka knee, and I'm not getting that. So other than that, like, I'm not, because I keep trying to be like, all right, well, the Thunder don't have as much star power that's going to come at you. And I'm like, well, but, I mean, they also have all of the big bodies that you imagine could give Luka Doncic, Kyrie issues in the same way that you saw in this series with the Thunder, right? The length and those types of things. So I'm not necessarily picking one over the other, but I do think that the Mavs are game and have the mentality necessary to do battle with whoever they come up against.
Exactly.
What's the Jack Harlow line in that song? Fade away, I lift that Luka knee up. That's what we all need to do together. Lift Luka's knee up.
In prayer? Is that? Or do we need to bow heads?
Yeah, lift it up too.
Luka's knee is an awesome knee.
Go to the Dirk statue. Well, I'll have pictures of Luka's knee to pass out, and we can all lay it at the feet of the basketball god.
That's a good one.
I'll provide the candles. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, there we go. We'll all be there.
Coming up, let's talk about how Dereck Lively and Derrick Jones Jr. made such a huge impact on this game. Those two guys, the Mavericks do not win that game if neither of the Derricks, however it's spelled, play as well as they did. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. It's not just another job board. They have a vast network of over a billion professionals that you can check in with, you can find, and you can also use a lot of their different tools that allow you to sort through all those different hires that you want to make as well. Hiring is easy when you have that many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate in 24 hours. It's one day. All the time spent on trying to find somebody to hire, you could get it in 24 hours if you use LinkedIn. Small businesses and people that own small businesses wear a bunch of different hats. You know that you need to save time. You know that you need to be efficient. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, they do apply.
My first shot, my first play.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to the listener from Slovenia that gave me this Pravi DPOY shirt, which is just amazing.
That's a good one.
It's the best. Shout out to the listener that gave me this Let It Ride notebook with all the Mavs on it. Amazing.
That's great.
Amazing out there. I got Slightly Biased with me. We got Reggie Adetula with me from 105.3 The Fan. And, man, guys, we talked about Luka. We talked about – are you upset that I didn't say slightly from somewhere?
No.
I didn't.
They know.
I didn't give you a credit.
Wow.
I'm everywhere.
He's like, I'm ubiquitous.
Well, you just pick one. I'm there.
He said they know. He said that. How many pictures did you take today?
Decent amount. I was kind of chilling a little bit.
0 for me. Thanks for
asking.
asking.
I'm not going to lie. At halftime, that's not true. We took pictures.
Sorry, 1. My apologies. Yeah.
You did take a picture with us.
Halftime, I was not in the greatest mood. I was storming through. I needed to charge my phone, so I came to the media section. I was like, Nate, can you put my phone in? And I was just.
All right, we're hold on. At halftime, you were not feeling great about the Mavs.
Well, how could you?
Where did it go wrong, and why were you not feeling good about the Mavs at halftime?
Well, we said it earlier.
Right? Now it's the two of us versus you.
Okay. Let me explain. We don't have the stats pulled up. They had like 12 more shots. They turned the ball over, I think, 11 times, 10 times, something like that, an egregious amount. And that's the Thunder MO. We're going to force you to turn the ball over, and we're going to get out and run. Because we've seen this so many times. Mavs fans specifically have seen this. Size will win in the playoffs.
Yep.
It just will. Sometimes you don't even need to overthink it. Sometimes size over the course of 7 games, there's just not.
The Thunder went with the Chet Jalen Williams lineup at the end of this game to close
the closeout game.
Their season.
We talked about it after whatever game they went to it, where they played that lineup like 90 minutes all season long.
Yes.
So
not a lot.
You see it, and we saw it where like Boban played in that game 7 for the Mavericks in 2021. Like at a certain point, size just wins. And so the way you play into the Thunder's hands is by turning the ball over a bunch, letting them get out, and not using that size to your advantage. And that's what we saw in the first half. And it was really kind of disappointing, I thought. But, I mean, how can you be mad with what they did in the second half?
I can also add to that for you the frustrations that it felt like the Thunder did a really good job of finding a way to get that second pass down low, where the Thunder have not been able to score in the paint, or particularly in that restricted area. They did that very well in the course of this game, and not off of that first drive, but off of that backdoor cut or off of the lob to Chet Holmgren.
Yeah. They got it with 20 seconds left.
That was almost the game-winning shot. I mean, Chet had, I think, more of those in those. If you told me Chet had more of those lobs in this game than he did all series, I'd believe you.
At a point, it felt like they had more lobs than the Mavs did in this game, which is something that felt unthinkable over the course of this series.
I mean, they played. I have to say, the Thunder played really well in this game. So the Mavericks closing this out is a really impressive win,
including like shot regression. Like this was the regression game. I thought when you talk about the Mavericks in the first half were not knocking the down shots in the same way, and then the Thunder, who hadn't gone 4 games all season shooting under 33% from 3, they had just gone 4 games. So it was like, oh, is this the breakout game? And it started looking. In fact, it was the breakout game, and you were able to weather it. Like that is something that you have to really wear as a badge of honor.
Yeah, and then the Thunder went 5 of 17 from 3 in the second half, which is. That was the recipe, is to hold the Thunder to a limited amount of threes. Take the players that are taking the threes. You want to make sure that you control those. Cason Wallace missed all 5. Chet Holmgren took 3, and he didn't hit any of them.
That's a big thing right there, and I don't think that's an accident. The 2 rookies, 0 of 8 in the second half of a closeout game. Like the Mavericks, I've heard podcast people that were not giving the Mavs defense any credit. Bill Simmons. But anyways.
Spicy.
Bill Simmons does not listen to this podcast. I'd be shocked if he does.
Let us know, Bill.
Yeah, Bill, if you do listen to this podcast, please hit us up.
Nick Van Exit is where you want to send that to.
Yeah, that's who said it. But anyways, no, it felt like, they were funneling their shots. The Mavericks defense knew what they were doing. They went to a zone for like the vast majority of the second half, it felt like. And
I think it felt like a zone because what they've been doing with their centers, no matter which big is on, is they throw PJ or Derrick Jones Jr. or Josh Green on one of the bigs, and then Chet or Gafford just gets to like roam around. And so you're like, okay, this is they just can like be wherever they need to be, play help defense, do all that, and it works. Like they literally never strayed from that.
Yeah, no, they were basically running like a matchup zone on Shea. It felt like for most of the series, but I thought maybe my stupid basketball mind, but it looked like the Mavericks strictly went to like a 2-3 zone.
At the very least, they were helping early. Like they were peeling in early to make sure that, because he was finding seams within as we do a little shuffle on the video. They were finding seams in the defense, so they were like, look, let's tighten up these seams by helping that perimeter, that primary defender out on that drive.
Well, that adjustment to Joe starting and Cason playing more than Giddey was always going to give the Mavs some problem. I thought that was the start of Game 5, and the Mavericks had 4 fouls in the first 4 minutes of that game. Like, you could just tell. And I actually agreed with what the Thunder were saying post-game. A lot of Mavs fans weren't. That they got pretty good shots in that game that they just weren't hitting, especially compared to the rest of the series.
Well, they're also getting open shots because the Mavericks are designing those shots to be open in a way, right? It's almost chicken and egg in a sense. The Mavs do the same thing on the other side. It's like, oh, our shots didn't fall down. Well, they designed you to take those certain shots. PJ Washington doesn't go crazy certain times in the series. This is a very different series.
And Derrick Jones Jr., give him his credit.
And here we go. The 2 Derricks were absolutely massive in this game. Derrick Jones Jr., Dereck Lively. Dereck Lively plus 26 in this game.
Oh.
Gafford was a minus 25. That's not like.
Oh my God.
It's not like Lively is incredibly so much better than Gafford. But in this game, he was so much more effective in the way that he could rebound. He got 15 rebounds in this game, 12 points. The way that he passed out of the short roll, he had 3 assists. He got a block, he got a steal. Dereck Lively in just under 30 minutes was amazing. The best rookie on the floor.
Plus, the mental aspect of this, I can't talk about this enough. We can obviously talk about the entirety of his world right now. It's been rocked in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. I was thinking that during the game.
In the course of this game, he faced some some youthful things with it. Obviously, the whistle, and we'll talk more about that, but it got tough on him during that, what was that, third quarter or early in the fourth quarter? And he was able to stay within himself, stay within the game, and continue to get, because it's easy to lose yourself in moments like that. And he continues to be a strong rock within this team, and that's something incredible to say for a rookie like him.
It's the music, the moment. You own it. You only get one shot. Do not waste your chance to blow.
Who is that?
This opportunity comes once in a lifetime.
That's a Drake song?
I think that's Yellow Wolf, honestly.
Oh, Yellow Wolf.
Yeah.
No, that's Eminem.
I love Yellow Wolf.
That's right. A Drake song. Shippy did not play BBL Drizzy. Shippy, if you're still out there, I tried to get him to play BBL Drizzy the whole series, and he hasn't. Maybe Western Conference Finals.
The stadium music's always hilarious to me. It's just the most insane remixes of songs. I'm like, does anybody listen to these outside of an NBA arena? Are these songs being played anywhere? And I'm not talking trash about the music. It's just that specific type of music. You know what I'm saying?
I did not think Shippy would take all of these.
Shots are just going everywhere at this point.
I actually didn't mean it as shots. I mean it they're great. The stadium loves them, but I'm like, does someone have this on their Spotify playlist? They're like, let's go, man.
But Derek
Again, at Nick Van Exit if you would like to answer
Nick
the
Van
question.
Exit.
That is our question of the day.
This was a bad idea.
But it's one you made.
Yeah, true. You have to live with it now. You made your bed.
Dereck Lively was the best rookie on the court. He was the best big man on the court, I felt. And he changed the game. I thought in the third quarter, they put him in, and I thought it completely changed the tone and the tenor of the game. They could finish defensive possessions, which was massive. Lively could switch on to anybody and didn't get destroyed by anybody because their game plan was to funnel these guys to the help man or the low man. And so Lively can do that. Like, if I'm going to get blown by, at least I do it on purpose and do it that way. Just an amazing game from Dereck Lively. The mental side of it you talked about, but then also, like, the basketball side where he just gave them exactly what they needed.
Right, and being a 7-footer, like, just because somebody goes past you, you can be on their hip. That way, like, there's no real attempt at the rim because you're right there to block it. And he does such a good job moving his feet. Like, he's genuinely incredible at it. So much so that, like, I don't know what his potential is.
The worst he's ever going to be.
Yeah, like there's some real all defense level potential there for Dereck Lively. Like a 7-footer that moves his legs, moves his feet that well, and his legs, I guess.
They are attached to his feet.
They are attached to his feet.
Yep.
That's true. His whole body, really, moving around and blocking shots.
Speaking of his whole body,
where's this going?
Lou Dort
got
an entire palm on Dereck Lively's, like just got it, and they called it a common foul.
That's always a flagrant. I can't believe they didn't call that flagrant.
The way that Dort's palm,
he's not an idiot. He knew what he was doing.
We're not reenacting it here.
I'll do it real quick.
The way that his palm just went straight up into the crotch region and got him right there, open palm. Like,
he's not stupid.
That was wild to me that they called it. But Dereck Lively, huge, massive impact. The Mavericks do not win this game without Dereck Lively, plus 26. Huge. Derrick Jones Jr., 22 points in this game. He had the massive little run that he had at the beginning of the third quarter where he had a 3, he had another 3, and then he had another bucket after that. I think he finished with 11 points in the third quarter. He was absolutely massive.
Yeah, man. Like, part of the defensive strategy or the game plan in general, we are going to stop Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and we are going to dare Derrick Jones Jr. and maybe PJ Washington to beat us, right? We're not letting you get the lobs at the rim. We're not letting your stars go off. If those other guys want to knock down shots, you beat us. Look, in the playoffs, you cannot take everything away. You're playing against, we have withered out the bad teams. This is good teams, and now we are saying, can you make us pay? And time again, throughout the series, the Mavericks made them pay, and tonight, it was the Derrick Jones Jr. night of making the Thunder pay for their game plan and their strategy. So salute to him, because that was what was necessary. You've got to make them pay when they leave your guys open.
And it's funny because it's like PJ, the first 4 games or so of this series was the story for the Mavericks. And it felt like the Thunder were then like, okay, PJ can't beat us, so maybe we don't let him post up Shea as often or whatever the case may be. And then Derrick Jones Jr. the last 2 games decided, it's my turn to step up now. And we've talked about this before, you just need these irrational confidence guys in the playoffs. They're just like, I'm shooting this 3. Like PJ, I mean, to be fair, he kind of got thrown a grenade, but there was still enough time in the shot clock for him to, panic and pass that shot at the end of the game. But he said, no, I'm taking this 3. And I'm going to the free throw line.
Just go with Shea right in his face, too.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, that's an institutional success, right? You said irrational confidence, but it's not irrational. This is over the course of 82 games plus playoffs, they have intentionally been like, guys, we need you. We need every single one of you. We need you to shoot. We believe in your ability to do that. That's from Nico Harrison when they acquire these guys, when they're instilling that confidence because they believe in them. Jason Kidd, and this is where it shows up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think it started in this game for Derrick Jones Jr. when the Thunder were trapping Luka and Kyrie at times early. Even without a screen sometimes, they would send 2 to Luka Doncic and send 2 defenders to him. And so Derrick Jones Jr. got open in that short roll a couple times or open on the three-point line because the help was all going towards the 2 stars and trying to sell out to stop the stars. What the difference in the 2 defensive game plans I thought was really interesting. The Mavericks sold out on threes, on especially certain threes, and the Thunder sold out on the stars. And the Mavs got the role players to hit the shots, and the Thunder didn't get enough mid-range shots to go to make the Mavs pay for selling out on those threes.
Yeah, that's a great point about Derrick Jones. He went at Chet like 3 or 4 times, it felt like.
Right at the rim.
Right at the rim. And I'm looking at this right now. Chet, 0 blocked shots in this game. That's been a thing.
And got in foul trouble a little bit.
Got in foul trouble. Yeah, him and Lou Dort got in foul trouble. Yeah, that's true. Chet only got 34 minutes. That's a lot of minutes. But I feel like in a closeout game, you kind of want him playing closer to 40.
Foul trouble, remember?
Yeah, definitely foul trouble.
He got 3
That's what
fouls in
I'm
the first half, which made it did seem like it affected his play a little bit. But
and he was a +8, so that's huge.
Derrick Jones Jr. 22 points and 4 of 6 from 3, which was just absolutely massive for this team. And you mentioned the foul trouble a little bit for some of the guys. The refereeing in this game was something that I mean there were calls in this game that I do not understand how they were made. The one where we talked about with Lou Dort, palms Derek Lively right in the crotch. They just called it a common foul. They went back and reviewed it even, and they called it just a common foul. You had a ton of different calls in this game where it felt like, you know, P.J. Washington got in foul trouble early. He only had 5 minutes in the first half or something like that. It was there. It affected the game, I thought. It affected the way that the Mavericks defended at certain times in this game.
What were you going to say about refs earlier? Because you said you had something.
Oh, no, I was just like, we'll get there, because I knew that we would get there ultimately. The tough thing about it for me is I'm somebody who tries to, as much as possible, not discuss the officiating.
I'm the same way.
I think
we waited 25 minutes. Is
that's
that
right.
Okay?
True.
That's great. Look, it's your show. But with that being the case, no, I mean,
whether I like it or not,
I feel like there was a lot that was technically a foul, but I mean, within the spirit of the rules, it felt like there was not a lot of consistency, whether it was across the court or honestly over times of the game. It felt like this game was officiated 3 different ways during the course of the game. And I feel like for players, they want it fair, but then they also want to, let's establish what this game is going to be early, and then let's have it be that. And I thought that was a frustration, I imagine, on the court, but then also in the building more than anything.
It even came up at the end of this game where you had 2:27 left. Derek Lively gets the offensive foul on that screen, which looked like the Miles Turner one from the Pacers-Knicks game the other night. You had the 1:45 left. You had Jalen Williams shoots the ball off the bottom of the backboard, and it's called, and no Mavericks touched it.
Yeah, that was just bad. Sorry.
I
forgot about that. That was just bad.
That was terrible. Now that you're mentioning it, there were some calls.
You had the foul on you had the P.J. Washington foul on the inbound versus Dort.
That was awful.
Where Dort just kind of runs into him. And,
you cannot call that in that moment.
And then the Thunder get in the bonus. They also get a free throw, so a free point, and they get the ball back because it was before the ball was inbounded, which was wild.
Dead ball foul. Yeah.
Mavericks are only up 1 at that point, and then you get the SGA alley-oop to Chet, and the Thunder take the lead with 20 seconds left, which is absolutely wild. And so the refereeing in this game, I felt like it affected the game, and you just don't want it to. You don't want any time that they announce who the refereeing crew is, and Mavs fans or a fan of a team just all freak out collectively. Your instinct is to go, all right, calm down. But I don't know. I think they were vindicated. I think the fans were vindicated on this one.
Honestly, in the first half, I didn't think it was much of a problem. I thought the Mavericks just came out and just let the Thunder dictate the game a little bit by forcing turnovers and stuff. And there's maybe some calls here and there, but there's always going to be some calls here and there. The final stretch, if the Mavericks don't win this game, this is the lead topic on the show.
Yeah, the last 2 minutes.
Because now that you mentioned the last 2 minutes, I'm like, oh yeah, they did have 3 really bad calls. Really bad calls. But I also thought the Mavericks, I thought their 2 challenges were terrible.
Well, it affected them a lot because they had the one challenge.
Even though you won that challenge, I think that's a bad challenge, personally.
You had the one challenge in the first quarter where Lou Dort trips Luka on the 3, where Luka flies by him on the closeout, and Lou Dort's foot comes out a little bit farther than it normally would. Luka trips on it, and that one was successful, so you got that one back. But then you had the other challenge where it was 4 minutes left in the second quarter.
That was an awful challenge.
And it's a Luka blocking foul against SGA, and it was unsuccessful. And then you don't have a challenge then after that because you just used it. And so you could have definitely used it on the Jalen Williams play at the end or used it on the Lou Dort. I guess they reviewed that one anyway.
I found it fascinating because on that final play where Jalen Williams throws up a shot that just hits the bottom of the backboard, Jason Kidd is halfway onto the court, twirling his finger, almost with a lack of awareness that they don't have a challenge anymore.
No, it was within the last 2 minutes.
Okay, gotcha.
They don't do that anymore, though. They don't do the out of bounds in the last 2 minutes anymore because they tried that and it was making the last 2 minutes of the game take 14. It was like a college basketball game because they were reviewing fingertip out of bounds calls,
which are my least favorite.
My least favorite. It should be the nature of the game. If it gets poked out, it gets poked out. But we talk about challenges,
but you get helped by Mark Dagnall.
You do get helped by the Thunder right there because we see the replay and we have to say, sitting here watching it, they challenged that immediately. I don't think Dagnall even looked at his bench. I think that was just we're challenging that.
I saw that with my eye.
And you see the replay, that was a clear and obvious foul the moment you saw one angle. So I just think that was a desperation thing. And Reggie and I were talking about this before we went live. It's okay, PJ makes those free throws, you have a timeout. You can side out of bounds that down 1 at that point. And that's a completely different situation.
Or down 2, rather, right?
Yeah, because PJ, that's what it looked like to me. PJ intentionally missed that.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
intentionally missed that third one, and that's what it looked like to me. I don't know.
No,
I thought he
absolutely.
missed it too. What did you think about? So we talked about how PJ Washington had the confidence to take that shot in the corner. What did you think about the attempt from Luka? Just like the slow back down and kind of get into it. They held for the last shot. There's 20 seconds left, so they held for that last shot. You get it to PJ. He gets fouled. They challenge it, unsuccessful, and then, man, he hits the first 2. And then I agree with you. I think he missed the last one on purpose because there's only 2 seconds left, and so you don't want them to get another attempt there. But what did you think about that final play?
I mean, look, you have the ball in your best player's hands in those moments, and Luka Doncic ultimately makes the right play. I think that I could nitpick it, but I'm not going to. Like, you have the ball in Luka Doncic's hands, and you allow him to, figure out and suss out what's happening on the floor. He makes the right play. I'm with it.
Yeah, I will always defend LeBron because for some reason he's the biggest one for this. When Twitter's like, the game on the line and you trust blah, blah, blah with the ball. It's like, yeah, these are like some of the greatest playmakers in the history of the sport. Like, they know what they're doing.
Game on the line, I'll take Iguodala.
Game on the line. Like, those Twitter videos talking about game on the line, Torian Prince, here's the ball. Like, these are like the greatest playmakers to ever play the sport. They know what they're doing. And
Yeah.
I thought Luka did have a shot. Like, he got to a spot, I thought, against Dort, who's just too small. But it worked out, man. It worked out.
They move on.
That's a question for if they lose this game, Nick. What are you doing? You jerk.
Yeah, jeez, man.
DPOY!
I like this. I like this dynamic where we can team up on him. This is good.
I like it too.
This is good.
Someone needs to keep him in check.
We've all teamed up on each other at some point.
I don't like the way you
this.
said that, to be honest. It's a positive segment.
This is
a positive world. Jaden Hardy got more time in this game. 10 minutes, came out, hit a couple shots, hit a 3 assists. I thought that he played some good minutes after getting some opportunity in Game 5.
Minus 15.
Oh, wow.
Okay, well, I want to.
That was the way that the game was going.
We were just talking about being positive.
Wait.
Plus minus.
I want to put some context to that because the rotation when he was out on the floor was atrocious. That was a terrible lineup. I'm trying off the top of my head. It was Kyrie.
Yes, it was Kyrie, Hardy, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, and Lively.
Awful.
PJ was in foul trouble. Derrick Jones Jr. got like 1 or 2, and then he just went with basically 5 guards because Josh is a guard, really.
You know what's funny about that? I'm looking at this because if this was 2022 and Derrick Jones Jr.'s on the team, he's getting 47 minutes tonight. You remember the Reggie Dorian Finney-Smith minutes?
Oh, man. My knees hurt thinking about how much they played.
That was literally the end of Reggie Bullock's career.
That was it.
That was literally it. He got raided to the ground that hard. It's just funny to look at that because at the time I'm like, there should not be a minute in this game PJ or Derrick Jones Jr. is off
At least one of them.
Yeah, there's just no reason for both of those guys. In a closeout Game 6, like if Derrick Jones Jr. plays 45 minutes, he plays 45 minutes.
But to go back to praising Jaden Hardy for his no, that's fine. That's why I'm here to help bring it back together.
I thought he did play well.
Yeah, no, he's validated their belief in him, and there's been a lot of times during the course of this full season where people have been like, hey, you want to try Jaden Hardy? And they've done a little bit of trying and not quite ready yet, and he comes out in the playoffs here, and I've been impressed. Obviously, you knew that he can score. He knocks down the shots. I've been most impressed with his ability to find his teameamtes.
Yeah, that's the big one.
That was the question in Summer League. They put him as the point guard trying to see if he can be a creator, and the answer was no at that point. He looked a lot more creative, a lot more of a playmaker in this game and the last one where he got in. That really has to impress you if you're the team going forward, as this guy is developing into a little bit what you believed he could be.
He can be that secondary creator if he has somebody else on the floor with him. I don't think he could be the main point guard. I think we learned that in Summer League. But he's also only 22?
Yeah.
So there could be more development. I mean, Kyle Lowry, look at Kyle Lowry. It took him forever.
True.
Took him forever in his career. But, yeah, the Jaden Hardy.
Hardy doesn't have the behind that Kyle Lowry has.
The BBL hizzy. I thought he got some interesting minutes there. Tim, Jason Kidd made another decision that I do not understand. The Mavs get a defensive possession.
Noted defensive specialist, Tim Hardaway Jr., baby.
I said that in my row, and the guy in front of me was like, oh, well, they're going to take a timeout. And I'm like, no. I'm saying, why is Tim out there? He subs in. It's not like he was already out there. They sub him in.
4:50 left in the game. Lively gets the and-one dunk, and then they sub in. It's Tim, it's Josh Green, Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Washington, and Lively. You get one defensive possession.
Yeah, they're going to take a timeout.
And then they know they're going to take a timeout. That's why they take Luka and Kyrie off the court to give them a little rest. But then OKC gets a 3 out of it because Tim is part of the defensive play. And I do not understand Jason Kidd thinking that Tim Hardaway should be part of defensive lineups like that. Just leave Kyrie in. You might as well. What is one possession of rest going to do for him that is better than not having a three be hit in your face?
I'm also thinking like AJ Lawson, let's go. Dante Exum, let's go.
AJ was dancing on the court.
Well, then he's warm. He's ready to go. His legs are ready. Like, get him out there just for one defensive possession. It's not like it's all right, AJ Lawson, you're about to shoot a three, dude. Let's lock it in. Can I say something about the threes?
Yeah.
It's so funny to me. Every time there's a practice video of Lively or Gafford hitting a three, there's always a tweet that's like, can we get Lively 1-3 tonight? I'm like, dude, it's game 6 of the playoffs, man.
I've said that during the regular season for sure. Give him 1-3. They called.
Wait, was that Gafford shot a three?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it doesn't count at this point. It looked like one though.
Oh, the grenade when he was in the corner, and you're like, there's 1 second left. What are you going to do with this? And he just rises up and just chucks an awful shot.
I think it got blocked, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. An awesome game for the Mavs. Now they move on. They came back in this game. They were down 17 at one point. They showed resilience. Let's do this. What have they shown in this series for you that you think they can take to the next round?
Defensive fortitude. That's not even a strong enough
Eliteness.
word. There it is.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the best defensive teams in the league as of right now. The way that they're playing.
There's only like 6.
I agree with you 1,000%.
No, but left.
I mean, yes. Obviously, the ones left. But no, the way that they are playing, this is a defense that I'd roll out against most teams and feel comfortable with that being the case. Like, this is a salute to, again, the front office in the ways that they've changed what this team is. Yeah. They are a defense-first team. And, like, the way that they've been able to do this against a good team in the Oklahoma City Thunder and really, like, force their hand into different places has been super impressive to me, including Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic adding in those ways. It's been a good job there.
Giddey didn't start in this game again. We talked about it. Only got 10 minutes in this game. They took out a starter for the Thunder, the best team in the West. Statistically.
That's going to be so interesting in the offseason how that all unfolds. But I agree. I think their defense is championship caliber. I've been saying, just watching all these playoff games, I think the Mavs have been the second best defense in the postseason behind the Timberwolves. And you can make some arguments for some other teams, obviously. But it is a championship level defense. And like you said, kudos to the front office, but also Kidd has shown, for as much as we've talked trash about Kidd, obviously, Nick and I had the infamous fire Kidd. What game was that after?
The second Pacers game.
Yeah, when we're like, we're done, fire him. it was. We hear about it quite a bit. But he's shown us now, if you give me the guys, I'll have those boys on a string, and they're going to play some great defense. And it's also kudos to the superstars as well for locking in on that end. And
you got to ask them.
I don't know what you just played, so.
He's just the coach.
Oh, okay. But no, it's kudos to everybody. So
they've shown that they've had, to me, so the defense would have definitely been the thing, but they've shown that they have role players that can step up in big moments.
Yeah.
We were wondering about these guys. All right, it's Luka, it's Kyrie, then who else? We've seen PJ Washington step up in this series in a huge way where in certain quarters and halves, he was the best player on the court.
I would say the first 3 games of the series, he was the best player on the Mavericks. Genuinely.
You had him step up. You had Derrick Jones Jr. step up in certain games. We talked about the last 2 games that he stepped up in. You had Derek Lively step up defensively and step up in rebounding, step up in all kinds of ways like that.
Josh Green had some good minutes in the series.
Josh Green. Honestly, you had Tim Hardaway show signs of life in this series.
That is correct.
And had a game where he had 17 points.
Yeah, true.
You've seen a lot of those role players really step up. And so if the next series is a series where they're going to just play one-on-one against Kyrie, or they're going to just play one-on-one against Luka, and they're like, all right, we're not going to let these role players beat us, then, you can go back to the well in different areas and play multiple different styles.
Well, we talk about matchups. The Timberwolves, I think, pose a similar problem to what the Thunder did defensively, where they have the guys that can guard Luka and Kyrie and then send help, so it's going to have to be a role player series. The Nuggets, I don't know if they have the one-on-one defenders, especially with Jamal Murray at a compromised place. KCP is incredible. He had an all-defensive caliber season.
Look at what Ant is doing to him right now.
True, yeah. I mean, Ant's one of my favorite players in the sport. Whenever those new low shoes drop, I will be the first one to buy them. I love his shoes. But I don't have his shoes on. I don't know why Nick keeps looking down. I have Dr. Martens shoes on.
I was going to say, I just looked down at your shoes and I was like, you going to church?
These are Doc Martens, man. These are stylish.
Yeah, be careful how you talk. He'll still give you 12 of those.
Hey, I went off today. I was just going to say. That was a good sign immediately. I was going crazy in pickup earlier.
Is that the sign? That's the sign that it's going to go well for the Mavs.
It usually is. If I'm hitting threes, I'm like, uh-oh. But I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, yeah. I think the Mavericks have some matchup problems when it comes to the Nuggets, like just in terms of what they can do offensively.
We'll see which team wins tomorrow. We'll have all kinds of analysis. We'll have all kinds of previews between the three of us and Dana and whoever else is going to join the show. Ooh. And if it's Ben Beacon of Locked On Timberwolves, or if it's
Rudy Gobert,
or if it's Matt Moore that you all love and respect from Locked On Nuggets,
Mavs Twitter's favorite person. Wait, can I say one thing before we go?
Oh, say the thing.
Wait, I don't know what is this?
One more thing.
Oh, one more thing. One more thing before we go. I do want to give a shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who, if you followed me at all, you know I do ride with them. I do love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I will continue. He was incredible tonight. He was insane tonight. That step back three he hit when it was a 5-point game with like a minute 10 left. Like that.
He finally took more than 3 threes.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought he was great tonight. The Thunder have a really bright future, and I know we've poked fun at them and stuff, but they're a great team. And you're discrediting the Mavs if you think anything otherwise. Like, they are legit. There's a reason they were the 1 seed. And the Mavericks, I thought, outplayed them for 5 straight games in this series, even including that Game 4 loss. I thought they were just better.
It's a good win for the Mavericks. This is not like, oh, you just beat the young pup.
Like, and that's how it'll be framed by some. But it shouldn't.
But that's because the Mavs won and because they finished it.
Yeah,
you know?
True.
And you speak of youth that the Thunder have going forward. All of the guys that we're talking about pretty much for your Mavericks are young guys that are foundational
that's so true.
pieces. Like, this
that is so true.
There is a bright future for this Mavs team, and we don't have to live in that future just yet because they're moving on to the Western Conference Finals.
That's so true. And that's too. Okay, sorry, I have one more thing.
45-minute podcast coming.
One more thing.
That's fine. I'm good with that.
But we talked earlier, like, this Mavs future is very bright because they're going to the Western Conference Finals in a run where Luka is clearly compromised. I mean, at like 50%, like anyone who's watched this guy in the playoffs knows who this guy is, and it's just so obvious. You see clips of like what he did earlier in the season. It's like, oh my God, Luka is just like not anywhere near the level that he was just physically earlier at health-wise. And so the fact that they're going to the conference finals with a young group, and really it's just Derrick Jones Jr. is the one who's like, we'll see if we can bring him back. It kind of sounds like they really want to, and he wants to. Well, you just can count Max. Oh my God, Maxey could come back in the conference finals.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah,
I forgot about. Well, no, I'm talking about the future. Like the future of this Mavericks team looks very bright.
You went to late June.
He's taking podcasts out of your pocket now.
I'm talking about maybe a 3 or 4 Pete.
Yeah, but Maxey's been shooting though, which I think is a good sign for that. And so we'll see if they can bring him back, which would be huge. But yeah, we'll have all kinds of analysis and previews and stuff, break it down, whatever series that is. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom!
I have to pee so bad.
Was that like 40 minutes?